Bureau. Both of them have been wonderful colleagues in advocating the cause of the rights of the people here in these sessions. Although it's very difficult to open the debate, but since it is an occasion where we have been facilitated by the honorable friends to remember the victims of terrorism. Basically, if you disturb the human habitat and the animal habitat and make the serenity and the tranquility of life very difficult, you disturb it, you commit a terrorist act against a human person or against a human or against an animal as well. We live in times where corresponding obligations and duties to each other, but we live through very difficult times. Terrorism has many manifestations. It could be the state, it could be the non-state, and it's very difficult to differentiate between two manifestations. As we saw here in the beginning, that it affects people all across the globe, from states to Nigeria to India to Kashmir, to any part of the world, Iraq, or wherever the people live a peaceful life. I would wish to express my solidarity with the general wisdom that has been developed by the facilitators that there should be a national strategy to combat terrorism, and that we should be able to create an environment where dialogue is the principal instrument to reach to each other and to settle the differences, the various variables that exist between various communities, various religious entities, political opinions, or social opinions. For that, I think the proposal that there should be a fund for the families, for the victims, is also a very good input by the facilitators to this session. And the idea that there should be Solidarity Day is also, I think this is the beginning of that, this very seminar. Since I am a British, but I originate from Kashmir, we are also victims of terrorism of one form or the other, because we have lost a generation in Kashmir, and the death of a generation means the death of self-determination. So we will hold those people responsible for the death of an entire generation. Of that, they have killed the right of self-determination. As a lawyer, I would have advocated that we should have used the mechanics of the United Nations, because the world at large, 194 countries of the world, have pledged that there would be an opportunity for the people of Kashmir to express their free will. That mechanism is still intact. It is part implemented. And the people who hold an opinion that we can liberate Kashmir through the use of a gun, they have first and the principal duty to conserve life. If they fail to conserve life in Kashmir, they have either participated in terrorism or have facilitated terrorism or are cause of the death of a person and then of a generation. So we who attend these sessions have a duty to differentiate between the cause and the result. If the United Nations has offered you a mechanism that there would be a peaceful resolution, either the UN says that we take our hands off, that's one thing, but United Nations so far has not said so. So the opinions that were responsible to sponsor a militant struggle in Kashmir failed in their principal obligation to save the common man from death, because saving him from death would have been ensuring that he would participate in self-determination. So the result of the death is the cause of the use of a use of force in the shape of a gun, whether it's a Kashmiri or a non-Kashmiri gun in Kashmir, both have participated in the death of a generation. And they engaged the Indian soldier. The Indian soldier also failed in his duty to protect life, property and honor in Kashmir. But that is a secondary issue. The primary is whether the people of Kashmir have contributed in one shape or the other to the death of a generation. And if we have contributed to the death of a generation, then we stand criminally liable, because I think that from 1990 to date, the Kashmir every day suffers from the loss of life. And at times they are linked with Afghanistan, they are linked with one country or the other, or across the border. But those of us who have been justified in one shape or the other, who have been advocating that the use of force in Kashmir was required to ensure the rights regime, have a question to answer, that if you use the gun, then how on earth have you failed to save a generation from death? So we, at the end of the day, would reach out to the audience, to the delegates and to the UN, and raise this fundamental question that the death of a generation is the result of violence, multiple violence in Kashmir. And the violence became then commercial violence. It became commercial. People were paid in lieu of a certain payment. People were killed in lieu of a certain payment. Those voices who were at one stage saying that we should introduce dialogue, we should sit with Pakistan and India to find out the peaceful solution, were done to death. But the same people today are advocating peace. So what was wrong for them yesterday, what they thought is evil thinking yesterday, for them it is a genuine thinking today. So this transformation, how this came about. Generally speaking, that whether it is a Kashmiri, a British, it is an American, an Iranian, an Afghan, or a Nigerian, any human person, because we live as a global community, as human persons, it does impact the future generation. We will have tomorrow in the manner, in the shape in which we will live our today. So it's our duty that we make our today peaceful, understandable. We should be able to reach out to the other person and understand the embedded wisdom of his difference. We need not kill a person simply because that he does not agree to what you think about religion, politics, or way of life. So those of us who would like to administer or seek compliance through the use of a gun, they have something terribly wrong in their philosophy of approach, and each one of them in one shape or the other becomes a terrorist, because you can be a terrorist at home, in the community, at road, in the hospital, or if you do not take into account that you have a corresponding obligation to ensure that the life of the other person is respected and defended, because human rights are for all. What we need to do, we need to know them, then we need to demand them, then we need to defend them, because human rights are not for a Muslim or for a Sikh, for a Christian. Because if in Kashmir we have a movement going on of self-determination. But I want to make it very clear that those of us who represent Kashmir here do not represent Kashmir at all, because right of self-determination and right to life is universal. It's not Muslim human right, because those of us who are pocketed here, boxed here, represent a boxed thinking, are in fact doing a disservice to themselves, to Kashmir, and to the world at large. So we need to revisit the manner in which we come to this place, interact, because those of us who say that we are here asking the United Nations to implement the right of self-determination or the UN mechanism of Kashmir, it has never said that the Muslim of Kashmir would be given right to self-determination, and the Sikhs have no stake in that, the Hindus have no stake in that. Our friends who appear on these forums need to know whether they advocate the reflex of Delhi, Islamabad, or the best interest of their own people. Because you cannot fool all the time your colleagues, the system, or here. What you need to do, you have to go beyond the boxed positions, and you have to reach out, and you have to make it clear that you support the right to life of every human person. You support the right to self-determination of every state subject.